However, now I'm making the transition from the leather Shoe Express, or in this case the synthetic Shoe Express, to a more heavy duty application. And that is my Ram 2500 heavy duty with the Cummins turbo diesel engine. It is a mega cab, and it's the Bighorn edition. We're going to start with new shoes. We're going to go with some Cooper ST Maxes. Then we're going to start with a leveling kit. Now, I wanted to do a little experiment. I've done a lot of research on whether I should do a coil spacer or a replacement coil kit. Now, I've had Jeeps in the past, and I've always done coil switch outs on those. But on this right here, I'm going to try the Rough Country leveling kit. Now, I've also ordered the Bilstein 2.5 inch leveling kit with the coils and the Bilstein 5160 shocks. But I wanted to try this first just so I can kind of get a base idea and give my feedback on the Rough Country kit. I am anticipating getting some bowing in the coil springs. They'll bow forward a little bit from what I understand. You know, it's gonna make your axle shift left or right, and it's also gonna suck it in a little bit too. So there's a whole bunch of other modifications you can do to your suspension, but right now I'm trying to keep it simple and stupid and cheap, just for the experimental purposes. So I'm gonna run the Rough Country leveling kit, I guess, for a minimum of 3 months, and kind of get a baseline. I'm gonna do, you know, some forest service roads. I'm not trying to go out and take this rock crawling like I did with my Jeep. You know, this is going to be mainly for going out and doing overlanding or glorified car camping. So overlanding is defined by the journey, not the destination. It's usually, you know, going cross country in remote locations and camping out versus just driving somewhere, you know, up the road, setting up camp for a night or two, and then coming back home. So I do want to try to start incorporating some overlanding, especially with my daughter. She's showing a lot of interest in car camping or in the outdoors, you know, but she really is not old enough to do 10, 15 miles. You know, she's 7 years old, so this is kind of a happy medium between, and it gives me something to play with too. So we're going to start with the tires, then we're going to go with the leveling kit, then we're going to go with a decked system in the tailgate, which is going to be a drawer system, a storage system. Then we're going to put a Lightner Designs frame, or it's a utility carrying cargo system on the back. And then we're going to top it off, even though I do have the Kodiak canvas tent, which I love and does really good, but we're going to top it off with a CVT tent, probably a 4-person, and go from there. On the inside, you can see right here, I've mounted a little box, and I've got a CB radio and a ham radio right here. Now I do have a new Kenwood coming. I have a dual band radio, but right now I just have this Alinco in here. But in the mountains here, really, you don't need a dual band. 70 centimeter or 440 megahertz doesn't do that well. 2 meter doesn't really do that hot either. So 70 centimeters kind of out of the question. So I'm just going to run a 65 watt Kenwood that I'm going to install, and I'll do a video on that later. I have a RAM mount system here for my phone, but I am going to go and put my phone back up here where it originally was. And I have the DeLorme inReach, now the Garmin inReach. This is the older version, and it's a satellite communicator where you can send messages back and forth if you don't have cell service. In addition, I also have an iPad Pro 10.5 inch that I had mounted on here on one of these balls. I didn't really like it. I may put it right back here because it was the best solution, but I'm still kind of figuring out where I want to hard mount that right now. And that's going to run my Gaia GPS maps, and it is cellular enabled, and so, you know, it kind of serves as kind of a communication device if I have cellular, and then I can also download the maps offline and use it for navigation. I also did have mag mounts on the top of my truck, but I just recently installed these L brackets, or really they're kind of a V bracket, and then here's a 2 meter 144 megahertz antenna. It's a commercial antenna, but I had it cut to 146 megahertz. And then over here, and this is temporarily taking its place, this is for the CB radio, and this is actually a 2 meter antenna, but I'm not obviously transmitting on CB, but I have a NMO mount CB antenna, which is around, I think, the 27 megahertz range coming. That's going to go right there, and that'll pretty much give me all my communication needs. Now, a lot of guys use GMRS. I'm not going to get a GMRS radio. Between CB and ham radio, I think that I'm covered on communication. plus cell phones, plus the DeLorme reach, and I can build a fire and, you know, put up a smoke signal if things get really bad and I don't have anything. But I may look into GMRS, like with a handheld or something like that later on down the road, if I start going out quite a bit and start running with guys that use GMRS. But right now it's not a need. Neither is having a huge lift on my vehicle. I don't think that's going to be something that I'm going to need. This is a mega cab, so it's on a long bed frame, so it's already extremely long, and this is not a vehicle that you want to go out and do extreme hardcore off-roading with. Sure, if you put a 10-inch lift on it and, you know, 48-inch tires on it, you could do that, turn it into a monster truck, but that's just not feasible for me or practical. The Cooper ST Maxes, I did a lot of research on which tire I wanted to go with, and I really like the Coopers, and we're going to try those. I've never used those before. I've used Mickey Thompson, I've used Nito, I've used Toyo, I've used Goodyear, I've used, you know, all the other brands. I've never used Cooper, and so I wanted a tire that was semi-aggressive but also good on the road and didn't deafen you while you were driving down the road. So Discount Tire just called me and said, hey, we got your tires in. I had to order them a few days ago, and so I'm going to go in and get those put on. And here is what she looks like, and with the tires on. So actually I don't need the leveling kit for these to clear on here. That's why I was going to do leveling kit. I'm still going to do leveling kit. It'll just look better. But yeah, that's the after. So I did go over here on my driveway. I came up right over here and turned them to max articulation, and they weren't rubbing or hitting anywhere. So, and these are the Cooper Discover ST Max, and they are an E-rated tire, and they have the same rating as the factory tires, which were the Transforce HTs. And I really like them, although the spare tire would not fit up underneath my truck. So they only 4 came in out of the 5, and the 5th one's still coming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the 33-inch factory tire, and these are 34s. These are 295/70 18s on my factory rims, and they're 34-inch tires versus the factory 33-inch tires. But I'm going to keep the 33-inch tire, and then if I have to, I'll limp home, grab the 34-inch tire, and then I will take it to the shop and have it put on. I think that's what I'm going to do, or depending, I could run it in the back, you know, but we'll see. So it looks good on the vehicle. It raised it, you know, about a half an inch up further than the ground, because you have a half an inch on either side, and I really like them. So next thing is going to be later tonight, the leveling kit, and then I will do the deck system and the Lightner design system as well. So yeah, it turned out, I'm happy with how it turned out, and they're not very expensive compared to a lot of the other tires out there. For this specific size, the 285s version of this tire was more expensive than the 295 version, because I guess the 295 is not, they don't sell a lot of the 295s. So especially with the competitors out there, your Nitos, your Toyos, the Duratracs, they were all 300 plus per tire, and these here were with a discount. I got a 10% discount, and they were only $240 per tire, I believe it was. So all the research I've done, these have been good tires. I'll do a follow-up on these, you know, 6 months to a year down the road on how they're doing. But and I need to keep my foot off the gas, because on these, there's so much torque on these diesels that you can quickly get those rear tires worn down. So I've just got to watch that. So anyway, the next thing to do is the lift tonight, or the leveling kit tonight, and then we'll go from there.